political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. There we go, there we go, there we go. Welcome. This is Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday, 6 to 8 on InTheMixRadio.com. I am A.J. Woodson, your host. Black by popular demand. Damon K. Jones will not be here today. Has some business to take care of. But we have the lovely Lorraine Lopez. And we have Dr. Bob Baskerville of the Brooklyn Baskervilles.
Yeah.
Miss Robert Baskerville, PhD. Yeah. So we got a full show today. We're going to talk to the candidates in the New Vision Party in Mount Vernon. They started a new party. They were on the ballot. We're going to have them explain that whole process to us, the whole nine. And we have Dr. Hamilton calling in sometime today about the play Flow that he wrote and produced, starring Albie Shore. And I think you said Peter Gunn's in it too, from Deja Vu. From Deja Vu for all the hip hop fans. If he wouldn't have did that song, he wouldn't have been nobody to be on Love and Hip Hop. So Bob, you got something to say? You up there moving on it?
The 718 number is busy.
The 718 number is busy. You just called it?
Yes. Brenda informed me via text that Superintendent Hamilton tried to call in.
Well, why don't you call it from...
I'm sorry, it's going to voicemail.
Okay, it's going to voicemail.
You want me to tell?
Yes, please.
We're sorry about that. Little technical challenges. We'll have it straightened out momentarily.
Skype should be on. Skype is on, because that's a Skype number. Anyway, so a couple of things happening today. We had, unfortunately, another shooting in Mount Vernon. Happened around 1:30 today. A gentleman gained entry into another gentleman's apartment, shot him in his head. The gentleman who got shot was transported to Jacoby, and we don't know his status. As of now, the assailant has not been arrested, and I believe identified, as far as I know. It's a shame. It's a shame. I really don't have a lot of words. In the article I wrote, I came across Westchester Magazine, and Westchester Magazine wrote a piece called "Hot Hoods." I think they're trying to reach the urban community now.
Wow,
it's hot hoods, hot neighborhoods to move into, and they they had a chart talking about the numbers that you need to know about as far as Westchester, and the numbers were startling, to say the least. They ranked all the 43 municipalities, and their ranking had to do with 1 being low crime, and it was 1 to 100, and they compiled their violent crime list, composed of 4 offenses: murder and non-negligent manslaughter, forcible rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. So Mount Vernon had a ranking of 79.5. Wait, out of 100. But that's not the bad part. Let's put this in perspective. The rest of the there's 43 municipalities. If you take Mount Vernon out and you add up all the other rankings and you divide it by 42, they average 29.1. The rest of Westchester averages 20. We're 79.5. The rest of Westchester averages 29.1. The next 7 highest cities was Elmsford, ranked 49, which is considerably lower. Yonkers ranked 45.4. Mount Kisco ranked 44. Rye ranked 43. Port Chester ranked 42. And Tuckahoe ranked 41.4. The average for cities in the United States is 41. Once again, Mount Vernon ranked 79.5 in violent crimes.
Good or bad?
Bad. One being low crime, 100 being worse. The worst violent crimes. Westchester Magazine, data research by Amy Hirsch. They compiled this list of violent crimes. Like I said, from 1 being low crime to 100, and they took from those 4 offenses, and that is very startling. The other startling thing is this incident happened at the same address we had the 2016 Easter Day drive-by killing, and last year. This was the same address where the boy was in his friend's car, and they drove by and shot and killed him, made a turn, dipped on the highway, and the cops never found him. You know what I'm saying? This is the same house. This is the car that incident happened right outside. I don't know. The incident happened. They weren't the guy who got shot. They weren't looking for him. They were looking for the owner of the car, whoever's car it was. But he innocently was there with his friend and chilling with his friend. And this happened Easter Day while we were on the air. It was happening while we were on the air Easter Day, and this is the same address. So I say that to say, and it's not to put a black eye on Mount Vernon, because people say, you only say negative things about Mount Vernon. That's not true, but not talking about the bad things is not going to make it go away. There is a lot good to do with Mount Vernon, but there is a lot bad that needs to be fixed. And until we address the bad, we can't fix it. So I will call it out, and I will bring it out, and I will shine a light on it so we can deal with it. Crime is, homicide is out of control right now in Mount Vernon, and it has been for the last 2 years. The numbers have been excelling. Unsolved homicides is even more, while you have all these mothers like Naz, and you have like Wilfred and Linda Dennis, still fighting for justice for their loved one. No one's been tried, nobody's been arrested for the death of their loved one. You know what I'm saying? So, not saying that these people were innocent or not, that's not for me to judge, but it's still another mother who had to bury her son. You know what I'm saying? And that's always a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? That's never a positive thing. So, enough of that. I wanted to get that out there because that happened today, and it's very troubling, and we have to get a lid on this. If Damon was here, he would have some choice words about proper procedures and protocol, but he's working. That's right, he's working a double shift. That's why he's not here. He did 3 to 11 shift today, and then he's working tonight too. So,
you find out, you're going to update
yes, we will. If you stay tuned, we will give you more on this developing story. It's a 908 number, which I believe is the superintendent. We'll find out now. Black Westchester, People Before Politics, you're on the air. Please state your name. Hello? Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, can
Hello.
you hear me? This is Dr. Hamilton calling.
Hey, Dr. Hamilton, how are you doing? First, let me say...
I am great, thank you.
First, let me say congratulations, because you have now, correct me if I'm wrong, you wrote and directed a play that will be taking place, it's going to be in the city, not on Broadway, but it'll be in the city, right?
That is correct, yes. I wrote and directed a project called Flow, and it is, we are putting it on October 13th and 14th at the Tribeca Performing Arts Center.
And secondly, let me thank you for your patronage and taking out an ad in Black Westchester to advertise.
Oh,
yeah.
You're quite welcome.
Which is always a beautiful thing and helps us keep it going and helps us, keep the paper free for the people, which is the plan. So tell us a little bit. This is about hip hop in church, if I'm not mistaken. Or I know I know you got Albie Shaw in it and a few other people. So I'll let you break it down.
That's correct. This is actually a story I wrote, I guess, about 4 years ago. And it's a story about a young guy who is really trying to find the balance between pursuing his passion in the urban music culture and his mom trying to pull him in the church and him trying to walk with one foot in the hip-hop world and another foot in the church and trying to figure out how to create that balance. And it really is a story about living your passion in spite of what other people may encourage you to do, and figuring out a way to marry both. So it's a story I'm very proud of, but we've got an incredible cast of people that have come together to help tell this story, including Kiara Shear, Albie Shore, right. Peter Gunn, right. and the star of the show, Flo, Altrique Flo Winstead. So we're very excited about this project.
Now you don't. I'm excited about it too. What you don't know, I authored a book called Spiritual Minded: The Daily Devotion for the Hip Hop Generation, which combines those daily devotion books with hip hop lyrics to reach those that reach those in the street that are not they're not in anybody's church and they're not reading the Bible. And I also had for 5 years, an online magazine, somewhat like Black Westchester, but it was called Spiritual Minded Magazine, and Spiritual Minded Radio, a podcast show, and we hosted a monthly hip-hop church that we would do on Saturdays at one of the local churches, and had a lot of the Christian hip-hop artists come in, and artists that had got saved sharing their testimony with the kids. So this is something that's really intriguing to me.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. It's I started doing this project as a way to create opportunities for kids in particular, because we do have college kids who get their internship hours with us. And I wanted kids to learn more about production. So it wasn't just about being in front of the microphone or being center of the stage, right. but learning what goes into the production aspect of it as well. So that was the drive behind it. And then really creating a venue for people who were just aspiring artists, young artists who were really looking for an opportunity to explore their craft. And so that's how it all started. This particular story is based on a true story, and the main character allowed me to tell his story. And it really is about trying to be as relevant as possible with our kids who are so attracted to the urban and hip-hop culture, right. and the influence of the Black church in particular, and how those two worlds don't necessarily need to be in conflict, and often they are, but they don't need to be, because there's a way to use hip-hop music to tell a story and be respectful of the history of the Black church.
That's very, and it's so true. I used to have this, like I said, we also had an online radio show, and we were on Praise 102 in South Carolina. We aired every Saturday, and we discussed all of this every week. A lot of people were nervous in the Christian community when they heard the word hip-hop, though. It was really at odds, and it was actually a good thing, because a lot of the artists couldn't perform in church. They had to find outside venues, and when they found the outside venues, they found those that they were performing in front of that never go to church, which is what they should be doing anyway. So it ended up actually working. The church rejection actually was a positive thing. And I also had that battle, too, back in like 2002, 2003, where I was going to church. I had got, was getting all into my Christianity, my Christian walk, but I was still a writer for The Source, and I tell the story a lot. I'd go to Bible study, and then my friends would pick me up, and we would go to an album release party, which would be at a strip club. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was kind of crazy, but it was an interesting walk, and it was something that I had to come to terms with too, and I felt like with the whole spiritual minded thing was like God using me like Paul to take the word to the Gentiles being the modern day hip hop generation. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how I felt. So I get moved by all that. So.
Well, I hope you'll be able to check it out. It really is. It sounds very similar to Flo's experience, quite frankly. But like I said, his mom was a pastor, and then the other spin to this is, we all have our past, and in the story that I tell, Flo's mother, although she's a pastor, she had a period in her life where she had some indiscretions as well.
Right.
And it really talks about how sometimes we have this spiritual epiphany, and we kind of forget about the journey to get there.
Right.
And there are folks who are not as welcomed in the church because they have this past, but there are people in the church who have a past too. Right. And Pastor Claire in this story, even though she's preaching and she's being a spiritual leader, her past catches up with her in this story as well. And Flo then starts to question, well, why would you try to rob me of my opportunity and my dreams when you've had this journey, a similar journey of your own? So it really is a very interesting story. And like I said, we have an ensemble of people who we've got gospel music in it, hip hop music in it, R&B music in it, and of course the drama of the stage. We've got some extraordinary voices in this production. And I think it is really going to, and we've done it before. We did it in D.C. Last year, and there's a few new faces to the cast. Peter Gunn, who everybody knows for his role in Love and Hip Hop. Mm-hmm. This is his first scripted production, so you're going to see another side of him as well.
Right, definitely. And I like Kiera. I've actually had the chance to interview her a few times when she first was coming up, when she first was making a name for herself. Because she was some of her music still had that hip hop bounce to it, so she was able to perform some of that hip hop, Christian hip hop arena and gospel. She was kind of bringing it both together.
Yeah, she's a perfect addition to this. When we auditioned for this, my team that does the auditioning saw over 300 people for this production, and it was very difficult narrowing it down. But when we came across Kiera, she was just perfect. She was magical in terms of her presence, and she plays one of the nosy neighbors in this who's kind of like in everybody's business. So it's a perfect match for her. She can be a little over the top, and so is the character that she plays.
Beautiful. Yeah, and going back to what you said, we were talking about the church and being accepted. I find that the Christian church is the only army that shoots its wounded. Like, instead of, like, once you get a certain name or something happens to you, they're willing to cast you to the side, not realizing that Jesus came for the sick, not for the well. And people go to church to be healed, and then they forgot their past. They forgot their path.
That's true. I have a lot of friends who are pastors, large churches, small churches, mega churches. So I talk to them a lot about at least my own assessment. And I'm no preacher, and I don't even play one on TV. But I think there's a lot more that churches can do to capture some of our young people and make the church experience more relevant to them by embracing the culture that our children relate to. And sometimes they get shunned from the church because it often becomes this place, unfortunately, that sometimes feels a little judgmental and exclusive rather than inclusive. Right. Not all churches, of course, obviously, but I know when I talk to some of my pastor friends and the church membership is dwindling, and that's one of the reasons, I believe, why that's happening across the nation, because churches are not, in my opinion, doing enough to reach our young people.
Well, any church that does not have an active youth ministry, you're looking at the future. The future of, you're looking at a dead church in the future, because older people eventually die off. Like you need the youth to take over the next level. So you need an active youth ministry for a church to keep going on.
Absolutely.
So you're not just the Mount Vernon School District Superintendent, yeah. So a director and a producer and all those things as well. How did you get? Is this the first thing you've written? Is this the first play? How did you get into writing plays and stuff like that?
I've been writing for probably 20 years. This is my 5th major production.
You're breaking up a little bit, yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I've written for Kelly Price, Marvin Sapp, Angie Stone. So I've been doing this for a while. It's just my passion. It's what I do outside of my work as a superintendency. I believe in the arts. I think the arts is a way of really reaching people who may otherwise be forgotten. And so in addition to what I do in Mount Vernon, and as you know, I am a big supporter of the arts. I believe in putting my money where my mouth is, so to speak. So in addition to supporting the arts.
Have you been active in the art, the plays of, like, that whole department has been a lot more active since you've been superintendent. Have you?
Oh, absolutely. It is a passion of mine. We've committed a lot of resources, and I have to thank the community and the board for being so supportive of bringing the arts back to Mount Vernon. It is something that I hold near and dear to my heart, because I know that there are many youngsters who may not be able to demonstrate proficiency on a standardized assessment or on a weekly assessment, but give them an opportunity to perform or to draft their thoughts in music or to paint a picture that tells a story. You'll tap into a talent that many of our youngsters otherwise would not get the opportunity to do.
And what is the date, once again, of the play, and where is it at exactly? Address?
It is at the Tribeca Performing Arts Center, which is the legendary Tribeca Film Festival. It's known for the film festival, and that's October 13th and 14th. There's information on our website at flowtheplay.com. I've got an incredible team of people who do all this work for me. I just kind of put my name behind it. I write the project, and I put my name behind it, and I have folks who bring it to life for me. I've got an incredible group of people who make that happen for me.
Now, I could not let you go, being the journalist that I am, without asking you briefly, what is the future of the Mount Vernon City School District? Anything you can tell us?
You know what? We're in a great, great place. I believe that we are in a position to really revolutionize what transformation looks like in public schools across the country. We are seeing our test scores go up. We are seeing kids come back to our community that we lost. The 2020 vision has really helped us to revitalize and restore community confidence. Our board of trustees have really been champions of the 2020 vision, which is about full-day pre-K, creating neighborhood schools that go from pre-K through 8, and creating high schools of choice, and, of course, rehabilitating our buildings and facilities. So I think we're on the verge of creating major changes that will outlive all of us. And we have a long way to go, but we have certainly seen steady trends in the last 3.5, 4 years that are indicative that we are on the right track.
And I have one last question for you. Got to ask the hard questions too. I went to a lot of the roundtables or community forum things you had. Explained what you wanted to do with the 2020 bond. And one of the main concerns articulated by a lot of the residents was how are you going to watch spending, and, previous bonds, millions of dollars were not, accounted for. And I think y'all said that y'all were going to hire someone for the district, like a district architect or something, that was going to help keep the spending down and track that. And I think that's the person who just got fired recently. Is that true? So what a lot of people have questions about that.
There is some truth to that. There is several layers of oversight that are in place, which begins with construction managers and fiscal folks who oversee how we are spending and track what we send to the state so that we get reimbursed for that. We have someone who was working with us specifically for that purpose. And then there's a second level of oversight that includes making certain that there is quality construction. I understand it pre-existed me, but I understand that in the previous bond there was some concern about the quality of the work that was done. So we are being very careful to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself, that we're bringing in quality contractors and quality architects who are working with this. And we are looking to replace some level of oversight just to honor our commitment to the community. But in the interim, we've put some safeguards in place to make certain that the bond is still being implemented and executed according to what the community expected of us.
Right. And if I can make one suggestion, I mean, y'all did such a good job getting the word out about what the bond was going to be and why they should vote. I don't know what time frame y'all have, and I don't, want to give you too much extra work, but I think it would be nice to go back to the community again to explain what you're saying now on what the plan, since there has been a change from what you said, explaining what's going to be in place, to keep some people at ease, because I know I've been hearing a lot that's been a concern for a lot of people.
Well, we have done that. We put information on our website. I did a backpack last week now, just to let folks know what the status of our bond with the referendum is and our protocol for oversight. So anybody who wants that information or anyone who is unclear about what safeguards are in place and what safety nets we put in place, it is posted on our district website. If kids didn't take the letters home, and I know sometimes not every parent checks every backpack that comes home, that's why we put it on the website. And I did a district-wide phone call as well, directing people to the website just so that we could kind of get ahead of any misinformation that may be out there.
Well, I'd like to thank you for doing your job, for giving us this time. I wish you luck on the play. And
thank you very much.
I hope to go out and see it.
Yes, let me know if you're able to make it, and I'll make certain that we have some tickets available for you. I'd love for you to see it, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on air and talk about that and our district and the work that we're doing, both of which I am very proud of.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
That was Kenneth Hamilton. He is the superintendent of the Mount Vernon City School District, has a play coming out, I think it's the 13th and 14th, called Flow. You have the October issue of Black Westchester. The ad is in the paper. You can see it. And I think he said his website, something like flowtheplay.com or something like that. I'm sure Brenda L. Crump will provide that information somewhere in the comment section.
Brenda is hanging out right
now. Yeah, well.
She says she's with her girlfriend.
Oh, well, I'm sure she'll provide that information throughout Facebook, as she is known to do. We have a couple of people left before we have some guests coming in. Tell our guests they can come in. They probably can hear me now. On the check-in, we have Donna Jackson. Oh, and she put it up. Flowtheplay.com is the website. Caitlin Gleason is on the check-in. Donna Jackson's telling us more about the play. Anthony Old School Mitchell said, "What's up, people before politics?"
Yeah.
Let me switch screens real quick. Caitlin, Tasha Honey D, 79.9 in Mount Vernon. Wow, she's commenting on that. Tasha's doing a lot of writing for Black Westchester, doing criminal reform. She had an article in the October issue, and she'll be writing some more. Who else? Maxwell said, "Respect family. Lorraine is as beautiful as ever." Oh, don't tell her that. Go to her head. No. Did you hear? Oh, he didn't say nothing. Ken Bright said, "Many adults out of control." Big up to Dr. Hamilton. Anybody else? Lisa Best. Blessings, everyone. Queen Lorraine. Hey, sis. Shout out to, who else is on? Monty Whitaker from Prince George County in Maryland is on the check-in. Andrew Folks, Martin Moore, Tashelle Wilkes from New York City, Donna Jackson, Janelle Albrighton, Lisa Best, Jennifer Cole from Florida. Anthony Old School Mitchell, Ken Bright, and Robbie Mann.
Hector Santiago, too.
And Hector Santiago, what's up? What's up? So now we have with us, let me zoom back in, the New Vision Party. Let me turn on your mics. There we go. Some of y'all have been here before, some of y'all haven't. So we'll start right in this. Everybody say your name, who you are, and we'll go from there. Please pull your mic up to you so we can hear you.
Hi there, I'm Angela Neal, running for the position of City Council of Mount Vernon.
Hello there, I'm Stephen Facendo. I'm also running for the position of City Council of Mount Vernon under the New Vision group.
Walida Aime, running for Controller.
Hello, Robin Harmon Myers, running for City Council.
Okay, so one of the things I like to do is educate people. And I always say, people say, oh, you think you know everything. You know what? I learn something with every story that I do. Now, so I'm about to learn some stuff now because y'all about to teach me. How does one go about starting a new party and getting on the line? And what is that process? Tell me, what did y'all do?
We collected 1,000 signatures, and then, of course, we came up with a name for ourselves, and hence the New Vision Party.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Oh, so you get signatures for your name, and then you hand it in to the Board of Elections, and
correct.
Do they have to approve it or anything? Or?
Yes, it went through the petition process.
Okay.
Yes.
We had to get 589 signatures, and we got an overwhelming. How much was it?
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000, so double the signatures needed to get on the ballot, which was quite extraordinary, considering we only had
2 days, a week.
3 days, I think it
3
was.
days.
3 days to do it. So we know and feel that people want to change and ready for change.
So you two were on before, and it was as a ticket for the Democratic primary, and unfortunately the next day I had to write the story that y'all had got bounced from the ballot. So I know the general, with my ear to the street, the general census was that regardless of what happened with the other people, people were really fighting specifically for you, Robin, and for Paul. Is that his name?
Paul.
People were fighting, like, out of all the names, those are the names I heard the most. Like, they were upset that you couldn't run and Paul couldn't run. Mm-hmm. So is that what gave birth to this? And how did you pick your other two candidates to join the party?
Yeah. It was a tough scenario, being new to the culture of politics, air quotes. People really inspired. It was people and friends and people saying, are you still going to go for it? Are you still going to run? While I was kind of, in my feelings, basically,
Mm-hmm.
But it was the support of people and people saying, you got this, you can do this, you guys have to, you must. And so I just stood up one day after, listening to a lot of encouragement and said, you know what? I'm going to move forward. I'm going to move forward. And these fine people said, you know what? I'll step in. I'll step in place of Paul and Adrian. It was unfortunate, but that's what community does. We step in and we keep the vision. We keep focused on the task at hand. And I'm grateful that there are other people that were willing to do that so that we can change the culture of leadership in Mount Vernon.
Speaking about culture, so I know a lot of people, unfortunately, are a little discouraged from running in Mount Vernon. Like, good people that I think could do good for the city, don't want to deal with some of the BS that goes with running in a city like Mount Vernon. And without getting into specifics, with two situations where a sitting councilman being allegedly assaulted and another one, since she hasn't put it out there, I won't say her name, being threatened. You know what I'm saying? How do you feel about going into this? Is the atmosphere you're going? This is what you're running to go into.
For the reason that you just described, and I can't believe I didn't remember that. I said, if we kind of put our tails between our legs and move away from this, it sends a message to good, decent people that this is not the place for you. This is not the thing to do. we need inspiration. We need leaders that inspire. And that was the real reason that I personally said, you know what, you got to go for it. You have to. Because good people have to know that you can't be faint of heart, but you have to be clear on your intentions. And I had to ask myself, are you clear on this? Is this what you want to do? And the answer was yes.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, I just want to say, you have to remember that over 3,000 people signed our initial petition. So, you know, people wanted to see, at least have the opportunity to vote for other people, you know? And so for us to just let that go and to walk away, you know, because of the circumstance, we just weren't ready to do that.
Yeah, we have strong, I mean,
pull your mic just a little closer to you.
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, we, like all of us, we have very deep roots in Mount Vernon. I'm born and raised 48 years, just like my mother, 86 years. And we think Mount Vernon is, we don't think, we know Mount Vernon is worth saving. We want to put our effort towards doing that. It's a beautiful city, has a lot to offer, and that's why we wanted to take a big leap forward in the initiative to try to make a difference.
Well, we also have a responsibility. As citizens, we are Mount Vernon. So it's hard to complain about what the politicians are doing if we're not willing to step up and do our part, right? So we are not into complaining, we're into finding solutions, and you know, I'm glad that we all came together and we've decided to be the solution in November.
I want to say one thing. Y'all have given a new example to the adage, play big or go home. Y'all are definitely not playing small. I can't go nowhere without seeing y'all on banners and billboards and 5 pages and papers. And I mean, y'all are basically...
Well, a big move needs a big move. We
Yeah.
need to, you know, a big movement needs a lot of movement. So.
Who is supporting them? As in...
We have
in
no
endorsements?
unions.
Okay.
We are endorsed by our community members, and you know, we feel really, really strongly about our integrity going in. We have to look our neighbors in the eye. We are not running on our own. Each of us represents our community.
Anything else? Dr. Bob, would you like to chime in here somewhere?
I know, excuse me, but I know everybody that I speak with. I have a repair shop in Mount Vernon, on Terrace Avenue.
An auto repair?
Auto repair. Yep, auto repair. And every single customer that I speak with, even you know, longtime customers or just day-to-day customers that I've never met before, have expressed immense hope and joy to know that we're going to have a different idea, a different point of view, and we're not politicians. So I think that's the key word to make this work. You know, we're not going in there. We don't owe anybody anything. We're going in there for the vision of Mount Vernon to get it straight. You know, to straighten it out. And it's a lot of work there's a lot of work that has to be done. But you know, we're willing to do it, and you just need the right people in the city council to do that.
Yeah, we're independent Democrats. We don't owe anyone anything. We don't need to ask permission before we speak. Even if we may disagree, we're loyal to one vision. And we don't need to get permission before we, you know, have an idea or have a thought, right? Because we're independent and we're all paying our own way.
I like that, because Black Westchester, one of our mottos is that we are unbought and unbossed. And we don't owe nobody nothing. Nobody has invested in us. No government, city, nobody gives us money. We are not beholden to anyone.
Yes,
and we will not be silenced.
There's no scandal about us, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's correct. And you know what? Listen, we are not opposed to our community members donating to us. We've been working together over the past 5 or 6 years over different missions, and we've been making progress. So, you know, if we accept a donation from a neighbor, it's because we are on the same page as far as the vision for Mount Vernon.
We got a couple other. Oh, go ahead. What about?
As far as Richard Thomas is concerned, the mayor's concerned, you know, I'm not from Mount Vernon, but I hear that there's a lot of animosity between the council members and and the mayor. Are you guys willing to work with the
That's
mayor?
yes,
Absolutely.
That's a
Absolutely.
very
We're-
good point, and see that's why Mount Vernon just goes in reverse, because when you're in a position of city council and mayor, you're the mayor. If you don't have any compromise or any type of somewhat of the same type of thinking, negotiation, nothing can move forward. Nothing can happen positive, that's for sure.
Yeah, we have a job to do.
Yeah,
we have a job to do.
We're
We
not
have to do
for
our
the
job.
mayor. We're not
everything.
against the mayor. We're going to take each idea or each thing that he puts forward.
Right.
We're going to assess each.
Yeah.
Yes,
As long as
Richard
we're
Thomas
reasonable.
is neither friend nor foe, right? What we appreciate is that he has a vision, and it's easier to tame a tiger than it is to wake a sleeping sheep, right? So
Aha.
if he has a vision and it works for Mount Vernon, the people elected him. It's disingenuous for the city council as they stand now to
Absolutely.
be obstructionist.
Hold on.
Right?
Stop. No, I have to vigorously disagree with the position that is being articulated by the members of the panel. The city council has a structural job that it must perform. This is not personal. As you all know,
That's right.
Exactly.
The mayor does not enact a budget alone, which is a representation of the
Absolutely.
mayor's
That's correct.
That's
vision.
right.
Right.
The mayor must obtain the support and consensus of the members of the Board of Estimates.
That's right.
City
That's
council
right.
president
That's
and
right.
controller.
Yeah.
Okay.
So both the controller and the president of the city council
Right.
are within their institutional authority to reject the mayor's budget
Right.
if they do not think it is in, carries
Right.
out the needs of the
Absolutely.
people.
Exactly.
Right.
And so,
That's not what they're saying, Bob. Sorry. I'm just saying.
We're
That's
listening.
not-
No,
That's
I'm,
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
listening
yeah.
very
Okay,
clearly.
okay.
Well,
I have
well,
listened very
well,
clearly
well,
to
we
what
just,
was just
well,
said.
well,
Let
And
him-
the
let him
impression,
finish.
I
Let him
wanna-
finish.
'cause I have no problem hearing.
Okay.
The impression that I got from the initial response was that the city council is being obstructionist, and I just don't think that's a fair characterization of what's going on.
Well, we don't know about all of them. We know that probably the majority is not working with the mayor as they should. That's why they
what does that mean, though? I want to hear what it
Well,
means working with the
it
mayor.
mean-
Well, we're
how do
speaking
you
over
actually
the
go-
period of the past year. Many incidents, too many to really think of right now. However, for the most part, things could be worked out, negotiated, compromised, without the terrible press that has been coming out.
I want to stop because I want to go to a question from
Sure.
a listener,
Okay.
and they want to hear from the council members. What do you feel the description of the city council job is?
We're the checks and balances. We are the legislative body for the city. And it's our job to make sure that we have our ear close to what the citizens want, and that we make sure that we have legislation in place to reflect that, and that we're efficient as the legislative body for the city, in part.
So I'm just taking your answer and taking what he said. If the mayor had an agenda and it wasn't what's best for the city as far as the council is concerned, and y'all didn't help push forward y'all would now be labeled obstructionists
Well-
and all of that stuff. No, I'm seriously. Y'all would be
Well,
labeled
yeah,
as,
you're correct. That
you
is
know.
correct. I agree. Yes, I agree with that, because any two parties that don't agree would be called obstructionists. I'd imagine. According
Everybody has to walk away a little bit unhappy.
to yeah, we
Any
don't-
business
it-
deal for progress
We
to be
don't think
made.
there's 100% resolve for everybody. We think that it takes resolve to just work it out, and again, like Angie just stated, not everybody walks away happy, but there has to be a compromise. That's the only way things get done.
And it's one thing if your intention is to just be an obstructionist, and no matter what a person says, that you just disregard it, or that, and then the other side of that, which is where we're coming from, is that we're willing to listen, to hear, to go back and forth, to compromise. It's our job to do that.
It is an
It's our
It
job
is.
to
I
do
mean,
that.
and that's how we feel.
And
that's
then
exactly
come
right.
up with a collective response and decision. So that's kind of what the role is to us, that we have to go through those processes, and we're not interested in just being obstructionist, just to be obstructionist, or just to rubber stamp. That should not be the role of a city council person. We work for the people.
And I think, Bob, going to a lot of work session meetings and a lot of city council meetings, and actually hearing when the mayor actually asks these things of the council, and they explain to him why they can't have it. I can think of one incident, February 2016. So he went in there, he asked for three things. He asked for $155,000 to be moved so he could hire Sean Patterson as the chief of staff. And $100,000 that was supposed to come from the recreation department, and $55,000 was supposed to come from various other places. Then he asked for money to be moved from the contingency fund so that he could hire 12 firefighters. And they explained to him in the meeting, the controller was there, and the council members were there, and they explained to him that there was an upcoming raise negotiation for both fire and police, and you cannot take money out of that before then, because then you cannot go into those raise process in good conscience because you don't have the money. The mayor said, and I quote, "Forget about their raises, just give me the position." I said February 2016, there's only 2 Tuesdays in February, so I don't remember which one, but I challenge anybody to go to the clerk's office, and those meetings are recorded, and you can get the tape for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Right. So this goes on and on and on, so they explain why he can't. So that's on a Tuesday. Friday, he has a press conference. It was the coldest day of the year, I remember, because I'm holding my phone like this. I'm freezing in front of 3rd Avenue. And he tells me, Ty Milburn, News 12, all of us, starts out, the city council and the controller are playing politics with your safety. They have the money, but refuse to give it to us for more firefighters. That was an outright lie. So when I challenged him, he then brought a piece of paper to show me and Ty Milburn of News 12 the budget where this money was. I just happened to look. I said, Ty, look in the left-hand corner. It said 2014. So how are you showing me something 2014 that showed me money exists in 2016 and you're using this? So I'm just using one example. Yes. Not saying that everything he said is a lie. Not saying that everything the council did is true, is right. But in this example, which they took a lot of heat and a lot of bad press on, was an outright lie. So then I had to write a very not nice editorial explaining all of this, which then was an onset of attacks on Black Westchester. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? So that's not what happened, but that's what he told the people, and then he backed it up with tweets and like 45 and email blast. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what was said. Purposely, it was an outright lie.
I think the city council and other agencies, the comptroller, I think we all need to create a platform where we communicate directly to the people.
I agree.
Where there's a streamline of connection with our community. I think that's the one thing that's missing. There can't just be one voice, and that comes from the executive branch. We should be able to seamlessly be connected with the city council, with the comptroller, even the land use boards. I think there should be an overture of communication through the social media platforms. So thank goodness that there is good reporting, which, like Trump, you get good reporting that just kind of unearths all this stuff and reports to the people factual things. So thank you for that. And we appreciate that. But I think, there needs to be more. And I think as a city council person, I would like to see us have more correspondence directly with our community so that these kinds of things are challenged from the gate.
And I just want to say one more thing, and it is obvious by editorial that I wrote that I am not, I'm not on Marcus Griffin. I'm not on Marcus Griffin's Christmas card list. But again, I met Richard. I came back 2014 from Atlanta. I met Richard after writing the article on Memorial Field. I interviewed everybody involved. He reached out to me on Twitter. Eventually, I did the interview with him August 2014. We met and we talked and everything. I had conversations with him then. as an older brother, kind of, because he was friends with my younger cousin, who was born when I was 17. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I had conversations like I would have with him.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I told him then, which he did not get, and I reminded him constantly, and I've said it, I've written it, I've said it at city council meetings. Rich, I've told you this. So I told him that he was running for mayor, which he had denied. August 2014. Mm-hmm. I said, no, I got it under good authority from very reputable people that I trust. You're running, you may have not announced yet, and you may have not made the announcement to your wife, but you're running. So, you know, and one of the things that I was saying is he was very, as a councilman, he does what he's doing, he did what he did now. He would throw his council members under the bus, like he would have a press conference Tuesday morning talking about how the council got their head buried in the sand like ostrich and won't move, and the controller, and come clean Maureen, and he throw them under the bus at 11 o'clock in the morning. And at 7 o'clock, you expect these people now that you just threw under the bus in the press to now work with you on things you're just now presenting to them for the first time. Yeah. So and I say this to be clear because Richard Thomas has a very good publicity machine that I am probably part of the reason for, because I worked on this campaign in that department. So I got paid to do a job. I did it well. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But in process, he put together a good social media response, all those things, and he's still moving in campaign mode ever since. So I say that to say, you know, he puts a lot of stuff out there, and the council and the controller act like they're in the 18th century or something, and they can't pick up a computer or something. I'm sorry, I've had conversations with all of y'all, and I'm through with all y'all. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, what happens is then they come to Black Westchester to present the truth, and then once I say it, and they throwing rocks at me, and I turn around, and I'm like, well, where the hell is, like, why I'm standing out here by myself fighting your fight? You understand what I'm saying? So I am no longer fighting, for the record, I am not fighting anybody else's fight that's not fighting for themselves. All right? Everybody, off the board. So I say that to say I've seen a lot of this stuff that Richard Thomas has a problem with that was self-inflicted from Richard Thomas. Now, the council has not, Marcus Griffin as council president, there are certain things that I disagree, and if you read my article, I pointed out bit by bit why. Roberta beforehand, she's been a little more on board as president now. The controller, I felt there's certain things about the controller, and I have you just Google her name on Black Westchester. I don't we don't have to go through all that. But so there's enough fault to go around altogether. But I think one of the things that Bob is just the fact that where you were saying the obstructionist thing, that's kind of the role. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, to make sure that there's
Checks
a check.
and balance, absolutely.
A check. You are the check.
Yes.
But what happens is the council, was under Marcus Griffin's leadership, was a very weak council. And what they did with the residency and stuff like that, basically, they sucker punched the hell out of Rich. Rich fell down. They were like, yeah. And then he got up.
Well,
and they were like, oh, shit, he got up. Like, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't prepared for a fight.
So it was an internal fight.
No, but I mean,
who suffered?
No, yeah, but I'm just saying,
No,
not an internal fight. A fight that they should have fought for, but they weren't prepared to fight. And I won't mention people who are advisors to them. You can think of who you on your own have told them this as well. You can't start a fight you're not ready to finish, and that's what they've done. Because a lot of this stuff, had it been done in February 2016, we would not have gone through 18 months of this stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but anyway, so I say that to get all of that out there, because if y'all are elected, y'all are going into the lion's den, and y'all are the continuation of this, and it's not going to turn overnight. A light switch is going to turn, and
that's right.
Richard Thomas is going to be like, oh my God, and work with you. Like, you, I mean, I want y'all to know, I want to hear that y'all are ready for battle. Like, I mean, if that's what it's going to take, y'all are going to do what's necessary to get done.
And that's why we all need to take it as a slate.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of it just need a lot of logical thinking, you know, again, thinking for the people, you know, what's best for the residents, the city of Mount Vernon. I think a lot of their thinking is maybe for themselves, or, you know, I just don't know, because it's obvious that how many years this is going on, as far as all this in-house fighting and back and forth. And
some of this predates Richard Thomas too. So
yeah,
let's be honest.
No, it's not.
It wasn't lovely. The last few years,
for 20 or 30 years.
Yeah,
it's been going on for a very long time, and that's why for such a long time we haven't seen any progress. We've seen regress.
But I think you're right, AJ. We have to be prepared to use modern technology and platforms to get a message out. And again, it's communication that can put a counter spin and be a different stream for people to see.
With a level of
these
civility, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. We don't have to call names, and we don't have to get in the gutter to do our job. Yeah. And everything doesn't have to be a fight to be a winner, in my opinion.
We're getting more calls. First off, the stream on Facebook, I don't know if it's still streaming. It says we're having problems. So anybody who's listening or was trying to follow on Facebook, you have to go to www.inthemixradio.com if you cannot watch on Facebook. And I apologize. The questions coming in. So, and a lot of people are really, really concerned. So they're like, what happens when the mayor does not if, the person wants to be clear that they're not saying if, when the mayor does not follow the law of the city, what would be the response when he has broken the law? They are assuming that obstructionists, they're assuming that if they could be they are obstructionists if they, I guess you're saying, the way it sounds like y'all are saying y'all would be obstructionists if y'all stopped him from breaking the law. So they want to know what would be your response. There have been certain things that have been questionable against laws broken. We won't go through all that, but you can read Black Westchester because I've been very vocal about that. What would the response be to that?
Well, first of all, you'd have to go according to the.
You can pull it
I'm sorry,
yeah, you can pull it all the way out here, like you just.
I'm sitting too relaxed.
You can relax and pull it all the way back.
Yeah. We want you to relax.
Well, for one thing, I know that the city hasn't followed in many years is the city charter. And if you go, right?
What we mean.
Yeah, I mean, if you go by the city charter, isn't that, or am I incorrect? Isn't that the law of the city?
You're absolutely
it's supposed
right.
to be.
Well, so you know what? I think once we start following what has been written, then we can all follow as city council and mayor of the city, and then we can move forward with the proper ideas without all this chaos.
And the reason they're asking it, and I've written this before, as city council members, if you win, you swear an oath to defend the charter.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And those words are in there.
Absolutely, of
Yes.
course.
And if you don't defend the charter, you are actually in violation
That's right.
of the charter,
And I
of the
can
law.
called out on that.
That's
right. That's correct.
That's right.
But see, the problem is that nobody's ever called out on that, ever. I mean, has anybody been to a city council meeting where they've been called out?
I have actually called them out, but I mean, nobody listens to me.
I mean,
much
much
Bob has actually called them out.
I listen to you.
That the city as a whole has been embroiled in is in part the result of residents. I guess I have a very peculiar position. I'm actually a resident of Yonkers, but concerned citizens of both Mount Vernon and
you're a neighboring city.
Or a neighboring city that have, essentially highlighted illegal acts that at least the executive branch, under Mayor Thomas, but before Mayor Thomas, this is not unique to Mayor
exactly.
Thomas.
You're correct. So that's what the new vision is about. We're trying to get a new way of thinking. We're really trying to, weed out the old, bring in a new way of thinking. So, the important thing is, and it's really kind of mind-boggling that everybody wants to change. Everybody complains. Everybody says, "Oh, Mount Vernon this, Mount Vernon that's dirty." But nobody gets out and votes to change it. They, either nobody votes or the people who do vote in the same people that have been doing the same thing for how many years? So how do you expect change when you don't change the government? The change has to come within through the people. It's a unilateral.
We need more activity with our meetings, yes.
One of our listeners, Lisa Best, said, "Good evening, candidates."
Good evening, Lisa.
And welcome back, all of y'all watching on Facebook, because I guess the stream is working again. I work on election day, and turnout in my district is low most times. Some who do turn out don't always know what offices they are voting for and don't know the people. You may be the exception. Having said that, what other ways or events are you planning to encourage and inform the people to vote?
Well, we're trying to get our faces out there. We're trying to get our flyers out. We do forums. We do pop-up events. We do, so we're aggressively trying to reach the people that really don't know what's going on, and we're trying to educate them on the fact that, we need a new vision.
Yeah,
so,
this is
and
this
that's
is real
what
grassroots.
we
Our
try to
pop-ups.
convey to the citizens and everybody that I speak to or speak with.
I'm sorry.
Speak with that. They are just very excited about.
We're writing
what's
newsletters.
going on. Newsletters.
Lots of information, heavy reading in there.
Lots of
we'll be
social
But you don't
media.
take those flyers and throw them off your porch or on the sidewalk. You have to read them this way you know what's going on. They say there's another annoying flyer. Throw it out.
So my laughter had nothing to do with you. But my partner in crime, Damon K. Jones,
Hi, Dana.
said people did vote for change, and we ended up with a puppet of a garbage man. And I just thought that was funny, and I had to laugh.
Well, that's right. It is
He said we got trumped. That was Max Maxwell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look.
So we're out at the supermarkets. We're out at the schools. We're in
We'll
front
be
of
at the
CVS.
schools for the
we
next
have
couple of
forums when they're not canceled.
We don't blame Mount Vernon.
Now, I can speak to that. I was I was invited to come out of my house and stop working to go to a panel to find out that the mayor had canceled it because he was supposed to be having something else. And when I went in the room, he was talking to 4 people, and I'm not sure what the hell was going on. But
I'm not sure either.
Yeah,
actually.
we're total.
Was that a panel that?
The 4
they had
people?
a-
Yeah, that was us.
Yes, that was us.
That's why I saw them Thursday. Yeah, that's what.
And
And
thank
the-
you for coming out, AJ.
Did you get our pamphlet?
Yeah, so we're making the effort to get out.
We are. We're trying. It's hard. It's really hard to reach a lot of people because
We're so
again,
dense as a
it's
city,
a very
a lot of
very
people.
densely
And in a
populated
short amount
city.
of time.
It's a short amount of time.
But we've got an amazing ground team.
We're
Yeah,
doing
we
our
do.
we're doing our best.
And we're open to
You know.
suggestions. So if your listeners have any suggestions for what
Lisa.
they would
I'm
like
in the
to
same
see,
place every day, all day, 6 days a week.
they can go to our website. They can email us if they want to see us at a certain place. If they have questions for
They
us,
can invite us. We're willing to go into your home if you have 6 or 7 people and you want us to come in and have a
Absolutely.
chat. We're very, very happy to come in.
Fish fry Friday. No.
just
Yeah.
supply, just supply the meat and the.
I said
the
fish
wine.
fry Friday.
There you
Yeah.
go, fish fry.
So I want to speak exclusively to
Okay,
you.
Good.
I'm hearing people say, and it applies a lot to you.
Okay.
I've never heard of these people before. One of the things that have been a big call for Black Westchester is, can we get some kind of debate with the controller candidates? Because, first off, okay, so we know Deborah Reynolds was a councilwoman. She ran for mayor unsuccessfully. And there's questions about whether she has a CPA, and I still have not looked up whether that was a requirement or not. So I have to can't speak to
not
it.
a requirement.
Okay, right,
but-
okay. So I just wanted to state that because I don't think it was a requirement, but the people have been calling it out. And then,
It's not a
let's-
requirement, but the controller is essentially the CFO.
right,
So,
but I want to say this too, and no disrespect to Deborah Reynolds and her husband, but that vote wasn't all for you. That vote, which same thing happened with Mayor, that vote wasn't all for Richard. They were tired of Ernie and they were tired of Maureen. And I know Maureen and she's cool, she's a good friend. I've been to her house and her husband, we good. You know what I'm saying? But people were ready for change.
that's what it is.
So
That's correct.
there was only one choice to vote for against her.
Exactly.
Okay, so that being said, there are two
Since you
people.
were knocked off the ballot, amongst others.
Right, okay. There are 2 people now to vote for. People don't know about her as much, and people do not know you.
right.
So, speak.
Well, so first of all, I want to
And make sure you're talking right into the mic so we
Okay.
get the
Can you hear me? Is
Yes,
that good?
yes.
So first, I'd like to address the debate issue.
debate. AJ and
Yeah.
Damon should moderate.
The
I'm
debate
sorry.
issue. We were invited to a debate, which I accepted, but my opponent did not respond to the debate. So we can have a debate with only one person. So I am open and willing to debate at any time, any place. Name the place, and I'll be there. So that's the debate issue. In terms of not knowing me, I understand that. That's definitely been something that I've been hearing a lot. I've been doing my best to get out there, to get to the people. I'm, like I said, I'm open for any kind of questions or anything that anybody wants to know about me. Just a little bit about my background, and I think it's important because, like you said, no, the CPA is not a requirement for the controller's office, but it is the CFO. It's a over $100 million budget, and I think that we need to raise the level of we need somebody who's professional. We need somebody who's experienced. We shouldn't just hand over our funds to anybody. I don't think serving one term as a city council person qualifies you to be the controller. It's a different position. It has a different skill set. And I just think that we should require our CFO of our city to have a higher level of experience and qualifications. It's a lot of money.
Welcome Malcolm Clark to the show.
Hi, Malcolm.
Hi, Malcolm.
He says,
Malcolm, how are you?
people have no idea what the controller does in Mount Vernon.
Okay.
Definitely need a debate.
I would love to. I mean,
What is? I asked him what being a council mean.
Okay.
What does that mean?
A
That,
controller?
and then you started a little bit, but give us your
okay.
background. Like
Okay.
why? you,
So I'll start with my background. So I'm a 10-year resident of Mount Vernon. I moved here. I have 2 children and my husband. We own a co-op in Fleetwood. I have a BA in economics from the University of Pennsylvania. I have an MBA with a focus in accounting.
I gotta say, you're being too modest. It should be pointed out, forgive me,
Okay.
University of Pennsylvania is one of the nation's Ivy League schools.
Yes, it is.
And in that sense, a top caliber school.
We don't fool
I
around.
did not want to allow that to pass without being
Thank you.
said.
I
And-
appreciate
and-
it.
and-
I-
we don't-
I
we don't-
appreciate
One
it.
last thing, Bob. These are directional mics. You have to talk in the
Okay.
direction of the mic. You're talking into the side. That might not get it all the way. Yeah. Well, go ahead.
I appreciate that. I worked really hard for that degree.
I'm sure.
I have over 17 years of experience working in big law firms, big 4 accounting firms, and in industry, finance, accounting, investment, and tax experience. So, I feel that I'm very qualified to do this job, and I think we need someone qualified in the controller's office. What does the controller do? The controller is our financial watchdog, okay? So, first starting off with the budget, controller is 1/3 of the Board of Estimates, works with the city council president and the mayor to formulate the budget. After the budget is formulated, it is the controller's job to make sure that funds are, appropriated appropriately. The controller also needs to, audit or regulate all of the city's financial activities, meaning that the controller should regulate what's going on in other offices. For instance, in the mayor's office and the DPW, all of them have their own budgets and separate budgets and appropriations set aside for them. The controller's job is to watch to make sure those funds are being spent appropriately.
Someone wants to know
Yes.
real quick. This is a good question. So, what would you do if you win and find an unprecedented mess? They won't care who made it, but what you will do about it.
Okay,
And then I have a question for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Maureen's been there for 24 years. I have no idea what I would find when I get there. I expect that there's certain systems in place that have been in place for those 25 years. I expect a lot of it to be antiquated. So it's going to take a lot of energy and foresight to get things up and running and, to the 21st century. My first day on a job, my first task will be to understand what each employee is doing, what their job role is, and what their process is, so that I can find ways to make it more efficient. You know, there are some things that they're probably doing that are fine. But I think that there are a lot of ways that we can produce efficiencies. So that's the first thing, is to streamline the controller's office. We need to be able to pay our taxes online. We need more accountability and transparency. I mean, the fact that the people don't know what the controller does is a problem. And I think part of that problem is that the controller is not speaking to the people. You know, when I first started to run for this position, I had a hard time even finding the financial statements on the Mount Vernon website. I had to find it on the mayor's section of the website. That should be on a controller's section of the website. All of the budgets should be there. All of our audited financial statements, everything should be there for the taking, so that you or anybody else who wants to understand where the money is going can go there and immediately find it. When you go to other municipalities, they have that information readily available. So that's the first thing, is to really just go to the people and explain to the people. You know, like you were saying with the city council, like they would explain, you know, and that you gave that example where they would explain to Richard Thomas why they couldn't, pay for, 12 new firefighters. I think the controller's job is also to go to the people and say, here's where we are financially. Here's why I'm making the decisions that I'm making. Here's what my plans are for the future. You know, like
I mean, she did eventually, but
it
it was always it was always on defense.
Right. It shouldn't be on. It should be on the offense. These are things that should be happening regularly. You know, the fund balance. That's a big issue, right?
People have no idea what that is. I'm saying Richard Thomas makes it seem like that's her personal purse that she puts money into, and she dips in whenever she wants to and tells you can and cannot have it. Basically, I mean, that's not what it is.
Right.
But I mean, but if you were to listen to him, that's what it is.
Right, exactly. And it is our rainy day fund, right? But we need to, first of all, we don't know how much exactly is in there, right? We keep hearing different numbers all over the place. But there should also be a policy in place for how much money should be in there. Like, is it a percentage of our budget? Is it, 6 months of expenses? We should, what should that level be? And I've done some research. I've gone online. The state controller's website has a wealth of information, and they actually give a report card for all of the municipalities so that you can see how you match up with everybody else. And so I've been trying to do some research so I can understand exactly what that number should be. Should we, I think I heard last time the number was $19 million. Do we need $19 million or do we need $5 million? I think Richard at the last Memorial Field meeting, he said it should be 6% or something like that. So there's a discrepancy as what that number should be. But the people should know. The people should know that the rainy day fund should be there. We need to make sure that we can fulfill if we have any debt, we need to be able to pay debt. If something major happens, we need to be able to pay that. But it shouldn't be too much. We shouldn't be hoarding money and continuing to raise taxes and we're not fixing things. But at the same time, we shouldn't have any money in the bank, and if something happens, we have no money. So there is a fine line.
Absolutely. And I need to ask you a question, yes or no?
Absolutely.
5 people have asked, are you a CPA? They just want to know.
Yes, I am a CPA. I am licensed in both Connecticut and New York. And just to give somebody an idea of what a CPA is, in order to become a CPA, I took a 16-hour exam. Yes, a 16-hour exam. And an exam that a lot of people fail multiple times. I passed it on my first time. And I had to have...
Just saying. Just saying.
And you have to have a certain amount of years of experience working under another CPA. So that's what qualifies you to be a CPA.
Comment. Robin is the only one involved in the community. Comment from the audience. Neil. Some questions have been asked. I was told to ask you about Spezio. I don't know why, but it says Neil is redirected away from Spezio. Ask him about Spezio.
Neil?
Who's Neil?
I don't know. Who's Neil?
Angela?
Angela Neil or Steve?
I don't know.
It's a little confusing with Neil and him.
Okay, well, it does say Neil. It just says Neil.
So maybe Angela Neil?
Yes, what's the question?
Ask about Spezio. Neil is the redirecting away from Spezio.
I have no clue what that means. I've never met Joe Spezio. I've heard a lot about him at the city council meetings. I don't know anything about him except that I think he's a huge distraction from Mount Vernon. But I don't know what they mean about redirecting. No one asked anything about him since we've been in here.
Okay.
I mean, I thought he was.
Does anybody have a connection to Joe Spezio in the
No
room?
one has any
well, not
connection.
not any like
No,
business
not
or
any personal
personal
connection, no.
connection. No.
We know. I know who he is.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you worked on the campaign.
Yeah,
Eventually,
absolutely.
every had to know.
Eventually,
Eventually, he found out. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no
I-
connection.
on
I
that
mean,
the other day at Memorial
Except for
Day.
Bob, he knew from the beginning. No,
Yeah.
no. I didn't know till after the primary. I didn't know till after the primary. But no,
so I'm sorry, nobody has an answer to that. Yeah.
okay, so I asked it, and I'm just
That's all right.
we're moving on. I don't know how this question. I guess because there was a big shooting today.
Yeah.
How would they legislate to prevent these shootings? I don't know if there's an answer for that.
No, there's
Yeah,
no,
there is an answer
there
for
is
that.
no answer.
There's an answer for
There
that.
you
And 79.1% is crazy.
Yeah, that's Westchester Magazine.
That's insane. You know.
Oh, yo, well, listen.
Being,
Yeah, we read your article.
absolutely.
Oh, you read the article
Yes.
too?
Yeah.
The article.
You know, being in the environment, when you're not enforcing codes, when you when you do not have adequate foot patrol and car patrol for our community, it just feels like anybody can do anything. People speed through our business district. There are undesirable elements there.
I don't mean to
It's
interrupt,
a-
but there's
it's a
actually
breeding-
no foot patrol. Excuse
Yeah.
me, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but there's
I was
actually
being
no
gracious. Well,
foot
Well,
patrol
you know what,
other
have
than,
to- you have
other
to
than
request it.
Fleetwood area.
No,
Other than
there is
Fleetwood
some-
area.
there is
there have been
some-
campaigns
There
based
is
on.
some rookie type people
Yeah, when they
walking
get out
up
of-
and down
no,
4th
no,
Avenue
when they
sometimes.
get out of the
You know what I'm saying?
academy-
Like, yo.
Listen, my good friend was a police officer. I know him from forever. But when he got out of the academy, he told me step by step. Basically, what they do is you get out of the academy, and they put you on a foot tour until they assign you a sector of the city. So you do foot patrol, okay, but that's short lived. And the only time you see foot patrol in Fleetwood, actually you do see foot patrol in Fleetwood more so than any other place. As a matter of fact, I don't see any foot patrol.
I'm
except
glad
for
you're
Fleetwood.
saying that. I want you to repeat that again. I just want to hear for you say it because when I say it, I'm the bad guy. So,
It's the truth. I mean, there's no foot patrol that I can visually see.
Well, I've requested
Especially-
it based on incidences
especially in
on
my-
4th
in my
Avenue, and there
neighborhood.
have been foot patrol upon request and
Upon
incessant
Right.
asking because
Right.
of the climate that we have.
Now,
I mean,
in that
and just wait to say,
district.
and talking about the climate, and Bob was, I don't know if you were there that day or not, but we even had a shooting in front of a sitting city councilman who was running for mayor's office on 4th Avenue during the election. Like, it was a shooting.
That's right.
We had a shooting
Yeah.
there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
while he
that's
was
how-
running for office.
Yeah.
Lawlessness.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it just and the Arts on 3rd shooting of that young man was while he was on stage. Like, if you don't have security any other time,
Yes.
there should have been ridiculous security because the mayor was on stage.
Yes.
And someone where that green, where behind you, the wall right there, should not be getting shot while I'm on stage right here. I mean, like, if you're the mayor, I'm just saying,
It's just
I don't know where the ball got
Code,
dropped.
code
I'm just-
enforcement is a
Crime is
big
running
part of
rampant.
that. The element is attracted to places that are unkept, that are unwatched, that are unprotected,
That's
and we
right.
have a lot of that. We've got a lot of
Disorder.
dilapidated buildings. We allow property owners not to keep the environment. When you see a place that is not watched, protected, and served, it's prime. So you're going to be attracted to that.
That's right.
All they have to do is enforce the codes, become present, be consistent.
exactly.
They're
Consistency
consistent.
is what
Now, let me tell you, I live on 7th Avenue between 4th and 5th Street. All right, so when I speak, I'm in the center of the hood. I'm sorry, there's no, you're right down the street from 4th Street Playground. My window is in the back of the house, facing 8th Avenue. On a regular occurrence, I hear random gunfire, including last Sunday while I was on getting ready for church, getting ready for work, the show. I heard like 8, 9 shots. I was on the phone with, I don't know if I was on the phone with a candidate. I was on the phone with somebody, and I had to be like, hold up. And I'm like, because my window faces there. Like, I'm like, hold up, that was 8. Okay, it stopped. Like, they're like, what happened? I think I heard gunshots. And they thought I was joking. But ever since then, and then there was a shooting Monday morning around before 8 o'clock on the corner of 5th Street and 8th Avenue when the kids were going to school. And it was two people who stand on the corner next to each other all day and grew up with each other, shooting at each other. Like, I don't know what that was about. So now it took all that for us to have the big trailer truck thing, whatever vision parked
the
outside.
mobile command unit.
Yeah, and for them to like have lit up the area, and you go through there and you think it's something just happened.
But you see what has to happen for them to bring that out?
Right, but I mean, I've lived here 3 years, and this is the first presence that I've seen.
Yeah.
You
We
understand
can't be
what I'm saying?
reactionary. We've got to be consistent. We actually have to care about our community and people. When there's a new sheriff in town, you have to be able to feel it and see it. Like you go in other communities and you start to see it cleaner. You go, oh, something's different here. Oh, the store's fronts are kept and they're not littered with all kinds of paraphernalia. Oh, it's safer. Oh, I'm starting to see police officers every day. There's consistency, and that sends a message that there's a new sheriff in town and things are different. Well, we haven't had that from administration to administration.
Well, it also has
we
to
need
do
to
with
have that.
Cleaning up the garbage. Somebody's watching. If you have litter on the sidewalk in front of a business for the whole day, in New York City, you'd get a ticket by 9 o'clock in the morning. So if there's
We've had this conversation about 4th Avenue.
Absolutely.
If there's disorder, then you invite lawlessness.
Like you can't have gates down after a certain time in certain places.
All
Like
kinds of- all
your business has
kinds
to
of
be open
legislative
and
rules
swept
that
by
are
a certain
enforced.
hour. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, there has to be code enforcement. And that also has to do with lifting the blight. You know, we are not rocket scientists, but we have very good examples in neighboring communities. Eastchester, Scarsdale. They
Not hard.
beautify, they clean. There are cops there giving you tickets. You lift your foot up off the pedal when you get into Eastchester, and you put it down a little harder when you get to Mount Vernon, because you know nobody's watching, right? So if we can get our citizens involved by cleaning up and having our citizens, clean up their own area, have the DPW working, lift the blight with the chain link fences, reclaim our entryways, make them outstanding, make them beautiful. So when people come in, they think, wow, this is Mount Vernon, and so there's a level of respect. We need to lift the attitude in Mount Vernon by giving people a place to care for. Mount Vernon looks uncared for, and so when people come in, they don't care. And when gunshots go off, it's very hard to find, someone who cares and get the police mobilized because, there's an attitude of not caring.
The thing that was disturbing about the Westchester, there's a couple of comments I want to read too. The thing that was disturbing about the Westchester magazine article is it was a breakdown of the county on the best places to live. It gave you the medium income, the medium house income, the school district graduation rate. It gave you, like, if you would, there was nothing on there appealing out of 43 municipalities to be like, Mount Vernon, that's where I want to live.
Yeah.
Like, there was nothing on there.
We need to take that personal. Each
I
of us
did.
as
That's why I'm
citizens.
sharing it.
Yeah.
I did take it
We
personal.
should take, but I'm saying all of us,
79.9.
we should take it personal.
The United States average was 41.
Yeah.
41.
Yeah.
We doubled the United
There's a
States
good reason
average.
for- Yeah, but there's a good reason for people to feel that way because we're on the news and not negative, and negative, by the way, all the time.
Well-
Shooting. Look, I mean, not for nothing. Today, or a couple days ago, before that. I mean, it's just,
Hold on a second. Here we go, and this is one of the main reasons why we're running, okay? I don't want to leave here without bringing this up. Right now, the developers are coming in and paying no taxes, right?
32-year-old, 40, was it 30?
40
It was almost a 40-year-old
Yes.
pilot.
So they're
Yes.
coming in and they're the children are burdening the school system because they're not being paid for, and our city services are being burdened. So if the police have 300-400 more people every time a new building goes up, who's paying for that?
I want to stop you. I just said this, dealing with Pelham Manor, telling you the difference. Two things. The day David Buster opened, and they had a grand opening, like an opening before the opening, the cops were out there. If you
set the
came out the
tone
if
with
you
the
came out
culture.
the parking lot
Absolutely.
and made a right, you were okay. If you came out in the parking lot and you made a left, you got pulled over.
That's right.
It was like, and everybody from Mount Vernon know there ain't gonna be no bullshit around
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Secondly,
Setting the tone.
when because I wrote a story on it, Pelham Manor determined that there was going to be an X amount of necessary need of police, that traffic something, it was going to do something, and made them pay an additional $3.5 million in the deal for them to open up there, because that's what it was going to cost the services of Pelham Manor. And they paid.
We make the opposite.
And they paid, and so now they paid for whether it was enough or not, but they made them pay for.
Right.
Instead, so you're not paying for overtime.
Yes.
It's paid for
Right.
because it's coming from them.
Right.
Well,
Incorporated
but
that in the
look at it
budget.
this way. One of our babies was killed a few years ago, and the mayor stood and said we didn't have the money to investigate. And in the same breath, they're going to be approving affordable housing, other residential market rate, whatever
Wait, what was
residential-
killed? Who was killed? What?
Shamoya.
Oh, okay.
Okay, may she rest in peace. God bless the family. I don't know how they're dealing with it. But for the mayor to say we don't have the money to investigate,
But yet we still
but
allow
yet
these
we're
we're
allowing
allowing these no tax
rich
payers.
developers to come in and get 30 and 40-year tax breaks.
I had
It doesn't make
I had
any
a
sense.
firefighter that we know said that what they should ask for. First off, I think I'm excuse me if I'm misquoting, but I think they said any fire that's over 3 or 4 stories. First off, Mount Vernon can't put out.
No, they
But
they
that's
bring in
one.
Yonkers.
Well, that's one. Secondly, they were like with the buildings going up in Fleetwood. They said,
20
and they
stories.
determined the area that they need to get them developers to pay to open up a fire department over there, another branch. Have them pay for it
Right.
and open up. And that was
Well,
one
there you go.
suggestion. You know what I'm
That
saying?
was a
Like,
suggestion, but was it followed?
well, it was from a firefighter, not somebody in command.
We should be
But we know, and it
listening
was
to.
just
We should be
regular.
listening
There's
to
a
our
regular
firefighters.
citizen,
Yes.
you know.
That's not gonna happen.
They're-
You know.
yeah.
For
We should be
example,
listening
Mount
to them.
Vernon West is getting ready to be developed. Right now, the school board lawsuit has that on hold. There's no plan. We don't see a new school being built.
Well, not to bring his name out there, but one of my favorite quotes of Andre Wallace is, "This city has been working on the no plan for so long."
Yeah, he's right.
So-
It hasn't had a comprehensive plan
Right.
in what, 30 years?
Well, no. The last comprehensive master plan, I was born in 1966,
I was
was
born
in
in 68.
1960.
Yeah,
60.
yeah.
There's only one copy that I know that exists, and it was in the Mount Vernon Chamber of Commerce had it.
Yeah,
And
I've
when
been
he showed
looking
it
for
to
it.
me, and he gave it to me, that let me use it, the back page fell off. I was like, no,
we have
hold
to
on.
say anything
You make a
else?
copy. I didn't
Yeah,
even want that in
yeah.
my presence.
Did we have
Yes.
There was one that was supposed to be worked on under Clinton, and then he didn't win, and Ernie probably threw it away.
Right,
So
really, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like it did.
Right.
Ernie was not going to develop Clinton's plan. So,
Right.
but other than Clinton, I'm not sure that anyone else has worked on one.
We
So we
need-
haven't.
it's
And if you
still
look at
hovers.
the
It still
60,
hovers, and
but if
it's
you look
not
at the
been
60
executed,
plan,
yeah.
the things it told us not to do, we've done. The things it warned about the separation of north and south with the track, with the on the tracks, and it called for an area from beyond where the steam house is to I think 3rd Street to not even where you can't drive on it, would be this paved road shopping area built up. So it's just one, for unity. This thing, and by not doing that, the tracks are going to be this dividing. It explained this in the 60s.
Yeah.
It explained the dangers of putting
Back then.
of the projects and having too many, what the neighborhood, what the attitude would be, and the whole thing, as opposed to having houses and mixing poor
right.
and middle income and other people together,
Interspersement.
We need
and
economic
stuff like
diversity.
this.
We
Is
do.
in 1960. This stuff that I read it,
We do.
and it told you all these things that would happen. They have happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? So they didn't do.
Well, nobody read it.
Well, they didn't do anything that they weren't supposed to do, and they did everything that they said don't do.
Right.
And now we see the
We're
end
paying the
results
price
of
for
that.
it.
Yeah, which
We're
is
paying
why
with
it's
our lives.
important to really
Yes.
get a handle on this development that's happening now, because it is the forecast to what we're going to be looking like and feeling like in the next few decades. And you cannot tear it down and do something different. We're going to have to live with it. So we have to be really
It's
thoughtful about
unsustainable.
having these
Yes.
spot developments without having a comprehensive plan, without planning for green spaces, without making sure that any developers that come in, like AJ just described, that they're going to be able to bring something to the table and not just ask for
You know
rates
what would be
that
great?
go on 30,
they want
40
to put
years.
a building. They want to put a building in Wilson Woods.
Oh.
Now, I know it's not a big area, but you know what I picture for something like that?
A catering
Like our
place.
own version of Tavern on the Green.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying?
The
Like where you could,
Park.
where people could actually have a fundraiser and not
Absolutely.
have to go to New Rochelle.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
close enough for those that
Absolutely.
don't want to be in Mount Vernon.
That's right.
They get right on the highway and they get right back on without
Well,
having to
the
go to
last
Mount
But
Vernon.
you know
what
what's
I'm
a big,
saying?
you know what's a big
It is part
topic
of
in
our
Mount
gateway.
Vernon? What's so important? that the Fleetwood Association they don't want it is a dog park.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of emails
about a
about
dog park that nobody wants, but yet they're pushing it.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't been following those dog park emails. I've been looking at them like I've been a little too busy to be paying. But there's a lot of
my
emails.
Customers are part of that dog park area where they want to put it, and they are all against it. They don't want it.
I know there's a lot of talk about it.
Much of that is just a lack of communication that you decide to put something someplace, I think,
And
without having
say
a conversation with the residents.
Well, I think people move to the suburbs so they can have their dog in the backyard. And I think if you are going to have a dog park, which is not a bad idea, it's a vision. It could be perhaps more where the commercial areas are, maybe down in the park.
Or just
That
plan
would
for
drive
it
business
rather than
down to the
decide.
restaurants and
Yeah.
it would encourage people to have
plan for it
cafes.
and speak with the community. Have charrettes
Yes.
where you
They
really.
don't want it.
There's a couple of comments here.
It doesn't have to be in that area.
Tasha says George Latimer's platform position is developing underdeveloped areas in southern Mount Vernon by attracting corporations. I think that was just a statement, not a question. John Jones, former Mount Vernon police officer, says they could have a police commissioner, but Spezio will not allow it, and even if he did, he or she would not be in charge, so it would be a moot point. Malcolm Clark said the same thing I just said. Lead the 1960s comprehensive plan, and it laid out all the mistakes we made. The city council and the mayor have to work to complete a 21st century plan.
That's right.
Mount Vernon needs
Yes.
to bring back its neighborhoods.
That's right.
John
It's
Jones
suburban
said,
neighborhoods.
yeah, John Jones said we need a new mayor to even think about a new comprehensive plan for our city. Welcome, Wilfred Dennis, who I just spoke of, whose brother was the one killed at Arts on 3rd.
Oh wow!
And
Sorry.
they're still
Wilfred.
fighting for, and they just the
sorry about
one year anniversary just passed, and they're still fighting for justice.
Wow.
See,
They're
when
still
you're
fighting
dealing
for.
with something like that, hearing that we don't have enough and
I think that's the end of the show.
Is it really?
Yes, you just knocked everything out.
That one wire?
You just shut off the machine. You shut off the streaming and everything.
Shut up.
I'm sorry I did this.
Okay.
Let me go out and see if I can get someone to. You could restart the show, right? AJ, listen, it's under. What do you want me to do? It's right under my foot. I didn't set it up.
Stop moving your feet. So anyway, I don't know if anyone's hearing us or not, but
deep breath.
so we're just talking to ourselves. But anyway,
Well, I wanted to bring up the Bradford Road thing because they're,
that was the Wilson Woods thing.
Yeah.
yes, that's a community. You know what? Right now, the mayor is saying that's not part of his vision to have an apartment building in there. And basically, the community doesn't want anyone spending the night there, right? That's the gist of it, is that we are definitely into catering hall, restaurant.
No. It doesn't make a difference. We're not on. Oh, okay.
All right. You're still on. You got the backup.
Okay, so we having technical difficulties. If you can still hear us, chime in.
I've been banished.
Yeah. Dr. Bob is, yeah, we sending him back to Bedrock. Yeah. He's beating up the thing. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, no. So go ahead. You said, so he's saying that's not part of his plan?
He's saying right now that's not part of his vision to have an apartment building. And the last city council meeting that we had a huge discussion about this, city council president at the time, Roberto Puzo and Joanna Edwards, were saying, imagine if a catering hall was a success. We'd have about 200 cars there per night. If you had an apartment building there, you'd have 200 cars every night.
Overnight.
Overnight. Permanently. So we would be very happy. We would love a catering
And that would
hall,
bring so
restaurant.
much money into the city.
It
That
would
be
bring
amazing.
people in to have their weddings,
Because
graduations.
it's
and then we
amazing.
could possibly have a hotel in
There
Mount
is
Vernon.
no-
It could become a destination.
Other than Andre
right?
Wallace's building, there's no, every fundraiser that I've gone to has
Out
been
of
in
town.
New
It's
Rochelle.
out of town.
A few
They
have
are
been in
getting
White
our
Plains,
dollars.
and Ernie even had one down at Sylvia's in Harlem.
Yes.
Like, I'm just like,
It
yo,
doesn't make
you know what I'm
sense
saying?
that
Our
happens
dollars.
with our leadership.
Yes.
Like, did they ever once stop and say, we need to bring things here? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Mount Vernon is fabulous. We love it, and we think the world of her, and we think
So we
that
still-
she is,
Don't move.
she can reach full
We're still
potential.
on? Okay.
The camera's not
No
on.
problem.
Oh, that's fine.
Well, it's on.
Yeah, it's on me.
It's on.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sorry. I just.
Look at you.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. All right. Yes. We are back. If you just tuning in, you're listening to People Before Politics every Sunday night, 6 to 8 on InTheMixRadio.com. I am AJ Woodson, your host. I don't think we have Facebook. I think we lost our Facebook streaming. I'm not sure. We're going to find that out in a minute. Bob got big feet and he just kicked out the court. Yeah. Bigfoot Bob just kicked out the court. No, just wait. No. Now, if you can't laugh about stuff, I mean,
Amen.
So. Anything I didn't ask y'all that y'all want everybody to know?
Well, row I. Look.
No, we just.
Is that what it is? Row
Yeah,
I?
row I.
Is that for independent?
Vision.
No, it's gonna say New Vision Party. Actually, I think
Vision.
there's an independent.
But it's row I.
Oh.
But it's row I.
November 7th.
Are you guys going door to door?
Yes.
Yes.
We are going to door to
Door
door.
to door.
Yes, I can
Matter of fact,
attest. I can attest to that.
Well,
I've got a lot of phone calls that y'all have been door to door.
oh, great. I'm very happy about that.
People said I came home from church and there was a Black Westchester waiting for me at my doorstep.
Yeah.
So I don't want to beat a dead horse, but, because it's so hard for us to get door to door and because people avoid us when we knock at the doors. We get it, guys. I do too, but
listen,
I'm happy for people who have been talking. So
Yeah.
here's the deal with the tax pilots, right? The payment in lieu of taxes. Councilman Griffith says that he thinks developers need to tell us what they want because no businesses want to come to Mount Vernon. We strongly disagree.
I agree. I disagree.
He also says that he believes that
Dollar Tree was the
more-
only business that would come in there. Nobody else would come. Who else is going to come to Mount Vernon? We had to take the Dollar Tree in there.
Yes, and the developers need to tell us what they want, and we strongly disagree. The next thing is that he believes that we need the affordable housing for the senior citizens. My take on it is that when you don't charge the developers their share of taxes and our taxes increase, you are pushing seniors out of their home, right? So on many different fronts, we strongly disagree with that. We strongly disagree with him, and basically we strongly disagree with the Democratic machine and their vision for Mount Vernon, right? So we don't know the other candidates. I don't know them well, but they haven't voiced a position. But we are coming right out and saying that we are against pilots. We believe that the IDA should be using pilots to encourage businesses to come in, and that would also have, the clawback or perhaps a contract where, they stay for a certain length of time to put back the taxes into the system.
Can you just elaborate a little bit what you mean by clawback? So the
Well,
audience members?
to my knowledge, is it where you would be able to get the money back, recoup
If
the funds?
if they don't produce the jobs and
A
create the
provision.
jobs that they
Right.
said that they would create.
Or perhaps they leave before we manage to get back that money. There has to be an incentive if you're getting a tax break. Well, what do we get back, right? It can't just be us giving the tax break with nothing
And you
coming
can't run
back.
a city with no. I mean,
With no income.
Who would love to own a home without having to pay the tax, not paying
Yeah.
tax? I mean, I'd like that. I'm sure
Yeah,
everybody
there are
else would,
smart
right?
ways to use
So they
them,
collect the
but
rent,
Right.
right?
They're-
They collect the rent. They don't pay tax. It's a win-win
And-
for them.
yeah.
there are smart ways to use pilots, but
And it drains our
they have
infrastructure.
not been used
Wisely.
very wise. So we
yes.
would bring a wise approach to
Yeah.
using
I
pilots
I
if used
did
it at all.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I did read your statement, your position statement online, and I wanted to point out that in your online statement, you object to the use of the pilot to bring in real estate developers who promise short-term temporary jobs, and that really the New Vision Party platform calls for the use of the pilot to induce businesses who want to create permanent jobs, and that's a big difference.
That's
And
Wise
Correct.
development, absolutely.
Yes, because
Right.
the city council will say that bringing in the residential developers is good for the economy.
Right.
But those are construction jobs which are short-term, and when they end, we may have one super of the building, one janitor of the building, right? And so we do need a long-term.
But even the
And
businesses,
we can do more than residential. Just
Yeah.
warehousing people, having exclusively, it seems, from my estimation, residential development is
That's not an economic plan.
yeah.
It's not
Where
an
the
economic
Employ
where
200 people for what, a year?
where the
Year and a
the
half?
business sectors, the green spaces.
I got
yeah.
one of our listeners, Mr. The Honorary Oscar Davis Jr.
Oh, the honorary.
That's
Right.
that's how
Right,
he
he
likes.
is.
That's how he likes to refer to himself. Yes, I said it, and I actually said it out loud one time. That's the only time I'm ever going to say it too. He said it's not the job of the city council to bring programs. It's the mayor's job. It's good to under the role of city council person. The council's job is to pass legislation.
Yeah, we know.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
That's
we know.
correct.
But we
shout,
do work
okay.
with our executive branch, and it would be our goal to want to work with whoever's in the executive branch to help contour any decisions around such things,
Malcolm
to be an
Clark-
influence in a positive way.
Going back to the Branford thing, Malcolm said, because now I can see all the comments coming back up. Malcolm said neighborhoods didn't want Branford Road to be a residential location.
That's right.
It can be a multi-purpose place with recreation activities,
Yep.
a bowling alley, a catering hall.
Yes.
Can we think outside of the box?
100%.
There you go. That's
Yes,
it.
Malcolm.
Thank you everyone
you.
who told me we can still hear you, we can still see you. Your Facebook streaming is up. No, your Facebook is up. Shout to my friend Marv Burke, the publisher of Holla Magazine in Atlanta, who's tuned in and said what's up. And all of y'all who told me that Facebook is up, I appreciate y'all. And somebody named Leslie Camacho, who said, I love the paper publication of Black Westchester. We love you too. Thank you. So I just want to get that out
We
there.
love all our supporters, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
So I think this has been very good. I got some people saying I ain't asked y'all hard enough questions. I'm trying to
You can
We
have
always
them back
take
on.
suggestions. There's
Yeah.
10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Forward us your hard questions in 10 minutes.
Well,
Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. Someone's suggestion was, "Hey, they're watching us over the Yankee game." You know what I'm saying? I love the show.
that's
Yes.
fabulous.
Now I'm honored.
And you have on a Yankees hat.
Yeah.
We're
The
more
official
important than the
postseason joint. I got the official postseason joint. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
serious. It's definitely.
I think, and that's the reason I asked the question I asked, and I went into what I went into, because I really wanted to see, like, at some point, like, we can't just do the traditional questions. We're past the traditional stuff. We're past the, regular just campaign talk. Like, what are y'all gonna do? Like, I mean, barring an absolute turnaround by a current mayor and a visit from the ghost of Christmas past and the ghost of Christmas present and all that stuff, I can't believe that he is going to have about face on January 2018. So that would lead me to believe that there is going to be much a continuation. He is going to challenge y'all. He is going to try y'all. He is going to y'all if y'all are elected, or the other candidates are elected. Not
We will
you
be
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, us.
Okay, well, I mean, I have to say that.
I understand.
I have to say
Mount
that.
Vernon is ready for a change.
Yeah.
Mount
So
Vernon is ready for a change.
We're
So,
willing,
regardless-
Big
we're
sprayer for
willing
grease.
to
regardless who's
fight for the
regardless who's elected, he still has 2 years, and like I said,
Okay.
if it's you, y'all have to be ready. And one of the things we talk about,
I'm ready.
one of the things I want to
Very
see,
confident.
one of the things I want to see, and you were talking somewhat of it. When I go to a county legislator meeting, especially when I speak, and I always go the next day to see the video. The next day, the video is on the website.
That's right.
The next day, not 12 hours, the next morning.
Transparency,
Yeah.
communication.
I can go, we needed to find something. I went back to February, whatever, something, and I found that video that I spoke at because I needed to remember what I said for a story. And I was able to find that. Yes, you can get, we're still, I'm sorry, no disrespect to our city government. The clerk has a cassette player.
That's a
We
travesty.
still do
Well, that's
use
what Belita
cassettes.
speaks about
That is
upgrading the
And he
technology.
puts the
Yes.
cassette in, And he stops for a minute, and he turns the cassette around, and he pulls out another cassette, and it is my nightmare that he's not going to label a tape, and he's going to put a tape in and re-record over it.
Yeah.
Like, yo, for real, I'm serious. No disrespect, George. I love you, but yo, come on, can we get a digital recorder or something? Like, yo, for real.
Tomorrow's going to be a digital recorder there.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yo, like, that's something simple. Like, we cannot, you know, the little cassette things used to have in school, the little one, the big buttons in the front. That's what they use.
Wow.
You can see that at the Board of Estimate meetings. That's what he's using.
Right.
What the hell? Like, yo, for real. This is 2017.
Yeah, we need an upgrade. So, by the way, we didn't mean to be cocky by saying we will be elected.
Well, you have to be.
We have to put that out in the
Yes, we do.
universe.
However,
if I'm working with
looking forward to meeting you over the next few weeks
Right, we want
to
change.
prove that we can earn your vote.
Right.
Okay, so we will be elected
Yeah.
because by then we're hoping to have proved that we can earn your vote.
Well, if I was
We're
working with a
trying to get it.
candidate, I wouldn't want to work with a candidate who don't believe that they won.
Thank you.
I mean, like I'm saying, like
Yes.
if I'm a coach, I don't want to do it on my basketball team who don't believe he can beat
Yes.
everybody. Like I'm just
We-
saying,
we
I
believe that we
don't
can,
want
but
you
we
on my
don't
team.
wanna-
Like
we don't want to make people think that we're cocky. We know we have to earn the vote.
No.
Okay.
Don't misunderstand
Yes.
between being cocky and just
Confidence?
truly
Yes.
and confidence, but truly wanting to see a change because we all have to live in Mount
Okay,
Vernon.
Oscar. He said there is a digital recorder in the mayor's office in the city council chamber, but the Board of Estimate meetings
Does not
they
have that.
still use a cassette recorder. Shout out to my man Majors who just shouted me out from Atlanta. Yes, they still use a cassette recorder. I see it. You can watch it. Watch any Richard Thomas Go Live video from. You can see him put the cassette in. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, for real. And flip it over, and then look at it to see if this is the one that has something on it on side 2. Like, it's my fear that he's erasing over something, for real. Like, I fear that every time I see him fiddle with that. Like, especially if you foil, because the Low HUD said we are the number one offenders of the foil. Every municipality, White Plains is strong, but we're twice as worse as White Plains. It took them 79 weeks to get full foil, and I think there's still some foils that they still have not received, and they're the Journal News. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, so what confidence does the public have? You understand what I'm saying?
As city council, that for me is, one of the things I think we're going to have to consistently work on is making sure that there is transparency and clear communication and consistent communication. This has got to, we've got to turn a page.
I stand corrected if it's true, because you would know, because you installed it. The system was installed under Mayor Davis, so there are cameras. There's like video in that room, in addition to. I'm going to take your word for it, Oscar.
So
but if I find out that that's not true, I'm going to let you have it.
I mean, more importantly than whether it's theirs, whether it's actually being used in the service of the
Right, and where the
residents of
recordings
Mount
can be
Vernon.
found.
Somebody said Richie knows when he's on camera. I'm sorry. That's what it says. We have a real serious problem here, Andre Clark. I'm trying to see if there's any questions for you. Malcolm would know too. He said they do use both. The digital recorder runs at the same time as the cassette, and so they had that set up. So I thank you, Malcolm, because he was part of the administration and he would have been involved in that. So I have to take his word for it. In what areas can you work with the mayor to improve Mount Vernon?
Code enforcement. I think we need to really kind of focus on that because that sets the environment that people experience. That's our experience in the community. That's our experience, whether a home next to us has 40 garbage bags on its front lawn for weeks at a time or, places aren't being clean.
Just unkept.
Yeah, we could easily begin to work on that, make sure that we have code enforcement so the city starts to feel different. That's what people want.
The parking agency is so quick to give you tickets when you have an expired meter. We should incorporate quality of life summonses basically, with the parking authority. This way it doesn't cost us any extra money to hire extra people. if they see unkept lawns, unkept houses.
Junk laws.
Because everywhere else I live, Long
they're
Island,
looking at
Atlanta,
doing that, too.
they have neighborhood
That's how we can
associations.
partner.
They will come with a ruler
Yeah.
and measure, and if your grass is
Well,
too
yeah,
high,
well,
you get a
yeah,
fine
yeah.
for it.
Right
Yeah,
now, there's
well,
one
no,
point
Everybody
in
becomes
2018
vested and not
budget.
just a certain sector
Yes.
of the community.
You know, the
We,
whole,
we would also like
You
to
have
see,
to engender that. That's leadership.
Yeah, we would
Well,
also like to see.
I want to,
In closing,
ahead.
go ahead.
because I did read your platform online. I have to say, I was a little disturbed at the choice of language, and especially the discussion of the quality of life issue. Specifically invoked on your website is the call for the return of broken windows policing policy.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, at least that I represent, I am
I
part of
represent a
a.
generation that wasn't good for either.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm
No,
gonna be honest.
there-
Well, that was abuse, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Okay.
Okay. Some
All right.
aspects of
I'm
that
going to
was
say
abuse.
I'll respond in this way. It's been abused so much that now the United States has the notoriety of having the largest population of incarcerated persons in the world, and that the black community, Latino community, especially the poorer segments, and unfortunately, this is likely to happen to the white community as well, as now many lower class whites are struggling with opioid addiction. And I have to say that I am,
Sorry.
you know, and I'm, no,
Share.
and I'm very,
It's
very
serious, you
troubled.
guys.
I'm very troubled because it seems as if the pendulum, in terms of popular public opinion, has swung the opposite direction, and increased recognition of just how harmful broken windows policing has been. And so I'd like to urge you to consider both a modification of,
Yes.
you know, because it's
Absolutely.
important for us, because AJ
Absolutely.
and I are part of this, and I have to say,
Absolutely.
and I want you guys to know.
Yes.
but we're all.
I am.
No,
I
no,
am
no.
a convicted
But I can
ex-felon.
I can
I
walk
want you to know
home.
that.
I can walk home in
the
an
city
area
of
I live.
Manhattan.
That would apply to me.
And I think I have some talent. I mean, you know, I have some potential, and there is a fear that much of the potential that has gone untapped, you know, will continue to
That's right.
Yes.
Well,
That's-
point
That's a
taken.
fair
Point
statement.
taken.
That's so basically it's a matter of finding balance,
Point
because
taken.
right now we're at the extreme end of no policing and every window is broken, right? So I think that we could find some balance there.
I'd like to
I think
encourage
we could.
everyone to adopt broken statutes, as in legal statutes, approach to policing.
Right.
And
Yeah,
broken
because a lot of
broken
broken
policy
statutes.
in the police department.
Yes,
Right,
Period.
there's a lot of broken
That's
statutes.
fair.
That's correct.
Because,
fair.
you know, the reality is just not every ordinary people who are setting the atmosphere for our cities, but also our leaders, our local elites, who seem to be very permissive and very tolerant of criminal behavior that is happening not on the streets, but on the suites, the corporate rooms, the boardrooms, and even in the halls of
course.
our city government.
Of course, everywhere.
We don't have much time left, so
Sorry.
I want no, you good.
No, thank you for bringing that up.
I wanted
That's
that
fair.
needed to come out, but there have been a lot of requests, and one Malcolm said, but he's not alone. When are we getting a city council debate?
Oh,
October 16th.
yes, 7 p.m. at the Bronxville Field
Field Club, yes.
We
Bronxville
just-
Field Club.
Accepted, like, that's recent, so.
About 3 days ago.
Yeah,
3 days
we
ago.
just accepted that. We were asked to be at a debate October 16th at the Bronxville Field Club.
The Northeast Round.
And will it be live streamed?
That we don't know.
That we
I don't
Well,
know.
we could
That-
We
always ask
have
the
to ask
organization.
the sponsors.
We're not sure.
Sure,
Yeah,
the
that's
Northeast Roundtable.
The Northeast Round
They were
Table,
kind
yeah.
enough to organize.
The
That's
North
my
who?
question.
Northeast Roundtable.
Oh, don't know
It's
who
a
that is.
collaboration of
And I got a
neighborhood
question.
associations, I
The
think.
Bronxville, the zip
No.
code is still Mount Vernon. Why do they call that Bronxville? That's not Mount.
Because
That's Mount Vernon. That's Mount Vernon.
Vernonites don't.
Okay, but it's Mount Vernon.
It really is.
I'm just saying. I don't care if y'all don't want to
Give
be
it-
called Mount
give it-
Vernon or not.
give it-
Y'all got a 10550 area code or whatever it is. Y'all got a Mount Vernon area code. Y'all get your mail from Mount Vernon Mail.
Yeah.
And if y'all got kids, they go to Mount Vernon schools unless you put them in private school. So you are in Mount Vernon whether you wanted to be or not. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just had to throw that out there. I got a pet peeve for that, yo. You move or something. This, you're in Mount Vernon.
One concern that I've always had since my serious involvement in politics over the past couple of years is that it really is kudos to the North Side for taking the initiative to organize. But my feeling is that very often the unique challenges and perspective of Mount Vernon's poorer South Side residents often will go and sort of overlooked if there's also not a formal debate on the South Side that includes a lot of interest groups or
We would
persons,
welcome that. We would definitely
it might be a
welcome that.
different perspective, and it's not to say
It will be a different perspective. There's going to be different
Maybe
questions
Black
asked.
Westchester could organize a debate
Well,
on the South
Black
Side.
Westchester, Black Westchester. The official answer is cannot do any debate in this election process because there are people like Marcus Griffin who will not show up if it says Black Westchester on it. Yeah, I said it.
Well, we'll
Truth
seek
is the
another
truth, right?
sponsor.
I mean, seriously. Seriously. There's people who they're not just to call him out. There are other people who won't come if we're involved.
Okay, that's fair.
Like seriously, they just won't
Well,
come.
if anyone is willing to host, please contact AJ.
Nah, real
We're
talk. I
open and we're
mean,
willing.
we need one on the South Side. The Dole Center, no, and yeah, let's not do the Dole Center. That's city. Let's do Centennial or something
because
like
you know,
that.
Yeah.
Centennial. He can't
Run
control
out the door.
Centennial. He can't control Centennial or Grace. Like, let's do one of the churches.
Though, a lot of people just don't show up for they just not interested. You know, we've seen. I mean, we've had a decent turnout, but not as much as.
I think if they're well publicized, they will.
Well, one more time. The debate is when and where.
October 16th
Yes, October 16th,
at the
7
Bronx,
o'clock,
7 o'clock at the Bronxville Field
And
Club.
that is the 16th is next Monday,
Monday.
a week from tomorrow, to be exact.
There you go.
Last words. How can we reach you? Websites.
New Vision
Why we should vote for you
MV.
in one word or less. No, go ahead.
newvisionmv.org.
New Vision.
That's our
Experience.
website.
New outlook.
Yes.
Experience, professionalism.
That's the most. To be honest, I think that is the most. I'm gonna say this to people listening, yo. I'm not telling you to vote for this slate of people. I'm not even telling you to vote for a slate, because again, I think the best people, and if it's not a slate, whoever you think are the best candidates. Like I that's just me keeping it real. But while the city council is very important, these 3 seats are very instrumental in the future. We've had one comptroller for 25 years. The next person who takes that place has to be ready for whatever. It has to be able to take us to the next level. And I think if the people are not, if there's not going to be a debate, well, you just heard one person say, one person just says she's willing to debate everywhere, and the other person won't debate them. Yo, you the public, y'all need to put it out there that you need to see a debate from this person, or y'all not gonna vote. You know what I'm saying? Yo, you want my vote, you need to come out and see it, and you are the people. Y'all need to demand that between now and then to make it happen, because y'all have the ability to make it happen, because they can't get in office without your vote. So if you want to debate, call for a debate. Make it known. Call both candidates and tell them if they're not going to debate, they're not going to be in office. And I guarantee you, there might be a little bit different answer and reply in that situation. And then if one person says yes to the public and one person says no or does not show up, then you know what you need to do
You know the man, right?
on election day. You understand what I'm saying? That means one person does not value your opinion. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not for or pro in this situation at all. You know what I'm saying? I'm letting you know. But this election, not even just on John Carlos, but Facebook at New Vision Mount Vernon. Someone just put your Facebook page up. Okay. This is a very important election on the county level. There's a county legislator race. There's a county clerk race. There's some big race. You know, we got our local race. The city council race is very important. This is the equivalent of the midterm election on the national. You know what I'm saying? This is the equivalent to that right now. If anybody knows what I mean, like the midterm election is what switched everything against Obama to the other side, and which could have that effect on Trump because a lot of people are, some Republican and some people are really having a falling out with him right now. It could have a negative, adverse opinion on him. We have to see because I don't know what's going to happen. But this is the equivalent for Mount Vernon of the midterm election. Is the mayor's midterms. You know what I'm saying? Now y'all give him a good grade. Y'all need to get him people that he can work with and people who will be independent thinkers, who will not be able to be run over, who will not be able to that won't back down, that are going to challenge the mayor and bring out the best in him, but not let him do whatever he wants to do. Well, so everybody needs to get out and vote. If you're a registered voter, I think the cutoff is cut off already if you didn't register.
You can still register. You can register up until the 13th. We'll actually be having a pop-up tomorrow. Please check our Facebook page for the exact location. And we will bring them into the electoral office.
Okay, so Friday. So Friday is the 13th. Yep. So if you are not a registered voter and you need to register, I personally have 100 registration forms at my house. Be on the south side. Hit me up.
And absentee ballots. You know, if your kids are away at college, what's the deadline? Does anybody know for absentee ballots?
About absentee.
Well, we'll look that up. But Friday, the most important day, Friday, you have to be registered. It has to be, say again, stamped and. Okay.
Or you can bring it in, and we'll be happy to bring it in. If you contact us at info@newvisionmv.org, we'll meet you with a form.
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll be doing a pop-up tomorrow. I think probably by Steve's Auto Body Shop outside. I'm not sure of the time exactly.
Well, if you can't find them, hit blackwestchester@gmail.com.
Well, Steve will have forms at his business. So
I'll have forms at my business, Harmony Designs, 4th Avenue.
So the address is 608 North Terrace Avenue.
And you can fill out a form. I'll pick them up and I'll bring them up. And if you want to go by Robin's store, Robin, what's your address?
You can Google Olympic Auto Repair.
Harmony Designs, 115 South 4th Avenue.
So they will have forms, and you can fill it out, stop by. I'll pick it up. If you need me to drive one to you, I will be happy to drive one to you. I'm flexible this
Dr. Bob, last words.
Thanks very much for coming through and allowing our viewers to get better acquainted, familiarized with.
We enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course, we wish you luck. We wish you well.
Thank you.
I hope we help y'all learn a little bit more about this party, and I hope y'all are a little more informed about the candidates. I will behind the scenes do everything I can to influence a debate. But again, if my name is on it, some people will not show. But I will do everything I can from behind the scenes to support a debate. I will cover the debate and all that. But it's you. The bottom line is, it's you, the voters. You are the change, Obama. You are the change that you want to see. Get out and vote. You don't like what you see, get out and vote. You like what you see, vote and keep it there. It's up to you. But the future of Mount Vernon is literally at stake at this election. I don't mean to be doom or gloom. The future of Mount Vernon is at stake with this election. I cannot make it any more clearer. Get out and vote. You could be doing, everybody, if I didn't shout you out, thank you, Warren G., Rose Dixon, Martin Moore, Lat George, Leslie Camacho, everybody else, if I didn't shout you out, thank you. You could be doing anything else, but you decided to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. This is Black Westchester presents People Before Politics every Sunday, 6 to 8 on InTheMixRadio.com. Next week, we will have, Bob.
We'll have Professor Alex Vitale to discuss his new book, The End of Policing, which is a critique of the broken glass windows.
and we will have Westchester County Clerk candidate Jim, I do not know his last name, Chisholm, I hope that's how you pronounce it. He will be here. And until next week, peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim.